So Jay, we've been kind of beating around the bush, and I'm of two minds, and I'm really curious where you are on this. I feel when people talk about AI in the customer success world, I feel like they're still talking generative. And I'm of another world where I'm like, where do we still need CSMs? Because I'm working with some customers and we're doing some behind the scenes AI stuff that is like tasks, customer relationship management, answering basic questions and things like that. So let's fast forward a year from now. When do you need a CSM versus having agents out there doing a lot of this work?
It's such a big question. And I think it really comes down to this thing that you and I always talk about, Jeff, which is what is the work that we have CSMs doing specifically, right? We have to really understand what that is. And it's still, there's a lot of variability across companies. So like, let's talk about maybe a couple of variants of what a CSM is first. Like I saw a great post by one of our friends this morning. He talked about how he's essentially merged the account management and customer success function into one.
Seen that everywhere, right?
Yeah, and they're responsible for an expansion number, right? On top of the retention. Now, there's all kinds of challenges. That's not what this topic is about, but that's, one model that people are taking. Then there's more of the service-oriented model where the CSM is a product expert. They're sort of a high-touch, white glove service provider. I don't want to say support because we all know that should be something different, but I think maybe that's a third variant too, which is, okay, it's a little bit of a catch-all person, typically in smaller companies who's doing everything for the customer, right? Handling support, high touch questions, all that kind of stuff. So I think those are maybe the three main variants that I'm seeing right now. Are there any others that you're seeing?
I'm also thinking in sort of a different level of enterprise versus SMB. Interestingly enough, with some of the work that IR is doing, Infinite Renewals is doing, we have like a couple customers that are 80 million to 100, and then we've got a lot of customers that are 5 to 15 with super high volume transaction, right? $500 a month, 20,000 customers and things like that. Fiscally irresponsible to have a one-on-one relationship.
Yeah. Good point. So let's throw the digital experience, and that's our world, right? With Balboa and Pendo, like the digital experience model in there. And then I think at the larger end of the scale, there's other customer success and account management related functions like renewal management that are dedicated functions, right? For renewals. That's a very specialized thing. I'd say, as you approach 100 million, that should probably be a specialized thing if you have renewals. Yeah. So, but I think, within it, there's those three variants. So the question is, which of those CSMs can be replaced? Obviously, on the support side, that's already the proof point that we have that agents are able to do 50% of what our support teams were doing before, right? That's
so much so that the big support players have changed their models and it's now on our per resolution instead of a per user seat, right? That just tells the story right there.
I heard just this morning a stat that Microsoft has saved $500 million in support costs in just the past 12 months, something like that. I may have not gotten that right, but it's directionally right. Now, Microsoft's, that's still a drop in the bucket for Microsoft. But when you consider $500 million, that now drops to the bottom line. Like, that's a big deal because their revenue didn't change.
So that's where they made the mark. Absolutely.
Right. So the margin tire. So, I think that's one place where it's a very specific motion. It relies on textual knowledge a lot of times of problems we've solved in the past. Like, boom, good. So then I think you look at the other two, more of like the commercial CSM and then more of like the product specialist CSM role. A lot of what product specialists do are, in my mind, the product specialist CSM role. And that's very much akin to like a consultant a services role
Yep.
as well, right? They do more strategy work. So how does our product fit in your environment?
Right.
Over time, let's just back up a little bit. Every call we do, you just showed me, we just talked about Gong, right? You know, we use Fathom. We record every call that we do. That's
Yep.
standard now. Everybody knows that, right? So if we're talking to our customers often, we're having the strategic conversations, we're building a corpus of
Right.
information about what the problems are the customers are trying to solve and how we recommend that they solve them. Now there's private information in there. You know, we have to be careful with that. But at some point, that corpus of data, and it's probably already here, becomes big enough to where you can agentify some
You
of those more
absolutely
strategic
can, right?
conversations.
And
I think you're there.
not probably, you can have better conversations. There's no, let me go look that up, because bring those conversations, merge it in with all of your support tickets, merge it in with all of your documentation. And when somebody says, hey, can I do X, Y, and Z? Here you go. Here's your answer right now. Instead of, let me go
Yeah.
find it for you.
Yeah.
And let me take a week to
Yeah.
get back to you.
Right.
And maybe I need a reminder to get.
I'm in the middle of something like that right now, which is that face. It's just like, man, I wish we had this today, but this is the problem, right? That we haven't pulled the data together and made it available to the people who have the question, which is the customer. Or, by the way, like the CSM could be leveraging this agent.
Yeah, I will say
that.
that for one of my advanced customers, and I take no credit for this, the RevOps team, after conversations like this, built a private for CSMs, go in and ask any question. And they can go in there, all the product data, getting all the support ticket data in there and everything else like that. But that's step one, right? Step one is CSM goes in and asks a question.
Well, the important part of that is that, so here's how the problem that I'm dealing with right now with a client was generated, like it was a latent issue. And here's what I mean by that. Unless we had been engaging with that client, we would have never known that they had this concern that they brought forward that turns out to be a major blocker in how they use the product that we're working with. And if we had never engaged with them in the first place to have a conversation, they would never have surfaced that problem to us, and they probably would have turned in silent. Nobody would have ever really known why. It's very scary, right? So what does that tell me?
Like that, by the way, is the time where I woke up in the middle of the night to do whatever you got to do. And then all of a sudden I heard this noise and I was like, oh my God, that's my pipes about to freeze. And I went down and I hit the shut off. And if I had not been an old man and needed to get up in the middle of the night, our whole house would have been flooded. And
you know what I call that?
The Lord.
What do I say there? But I'm better lucky than good, right? Or so what that tells me, Jeff, is the real problem that we have to solve for is engagement, which goes back to this commercial CSM, right? If you have a CSM whose responsibility it is to retain customers and sell them more, which is sort of what the motion is we were trying to do with this client, then that's how we uncover the problem. And now we're finding a solution to the problem, right? The solution should be easier than ever if we've solved that problem before, right? We've got this corpus of information, that's all this data. So to me, I don't think you can necessarily replace the initial engagement. You can automate that so you can do more, right? And I don't think you can replace the consultation once you understand what the problem is that is blocking the customer from success. But a lot of that can be automated. So I think so to me, I don't think we get rid of customer success account managers, right? I think we don't get rid of product specialists because we still need those. And I've been beating this drum, I feel like, for 5 years straight. They've got to be the roles have to be more specifically defined to what they are supposed to be doing, right? And when they're more specifically defined, as in like your job is to go drive that engagement, surface the questions, surface the blockers, the problems, diagnose the problems, then that's
Right.
good, right? And you have an outcome associated with that, which is retain and grow the revenue. And then other people have the responsibility to solve problems as they come up. To
That's
me,
important.
that's either an extension of support or services, So I don't think you need another thing called CS